So in the last video we were looking at fitting the trend line, finding an equation, done that, still got my height versus speed graph, and I'm looking at it and I have some points that I'm a little bit unsure about. So I've got this point here that's really kind of obviously not right, doesn't fit my trend at all. Just because it doesn't fit my trend doesn't mean so I can remove it, but I'm interested in examining that point and coming up with, can I remove it or do I have to leave it? I've also got this point here which is not too far away from the line but doesn't seem to match the rest of the trend. For its height, it's going far too quickly. And then I've got these 2 points down here which do kind of match the trend but also don't kind of match the trend, and therefore that is something that I'm interested to look at. So if I want to edit any of this and try and make a new graph, one thing I can do, one way I can do it, is I've got to eyeball the data. So here's my data. I can actually drag this across. So this point here clearly is my American quarters because there is no other data anywhere like it. My next big fastest horse is at 172 centimeters high, 860 kgs, and runs at 63 kilometers an hour, which kind of tells me that my American quarter horse, which is only 500 kgs, 155 centimeters tall, is a bit odd. So I guess I have to say something about this doesn't work. Now we'll discuss why we have to perhaps say this doesn't work in more detail later, but for the time being I could just go to this data point, remember this 88 just in case we have to put it back in, and take it out, and look, it's redrawn my graph straight away. But that's not a very neat way of doing it. There is a better way. So I'm just going to put my 88 back in there. So I'm double clicked on the number, I've typed in the 88 and there's my data point back. I notice it's in row 1 of my graph. So if I go to filter data and select cases, I'm going to choose to filter by row. If I filter by row, when I type in 1, it's going to hide 1 from my data set and it's drawn a new graph for me. So I'm going to drag down my 2 variables again, so height versus speed, and there's my data plot, and I'm going to add my trend line, and it's linear, and I'm going to close that off, and I can look at my last graph and I can look at my new graph. Now when I get summary, it's going to give me the gradient and the y-intercept and the correlation for the new graph, because they're the bits of data it's working on. It's not looking at the graph at all, it's looking at the data set, and the data set is from rows 2 to 30. If I now want to put that data point back in, I need to go to filter data and restore data set. And now my American quarter horse is back in. When I drag the height and the speed in and tell it to give me add the trend line, and get summary, notice how my equation has changed again and my correlation value is a lot lower. Now, to investigate a data point, you do that. To justify removing it, you have to think about the situation where that data point could have arisen. That's a completely different discussion, and I'll come to that next time.